So, thank you very much for inviting me to undertake a study in Azani River Basin. We have been working for the last 3 days, and today is an opportunity to share what we have done in the Mula Mutha Catchment, which is in Maharashtra. Okay, so I will give a brief outline of this. First, I will talk about what is natural capital accounting and value share ecosystem services. Why we have to do it, the purpose, study approach, okay, and then the outcome of that, help in developing green GDP. So once we have green GDP, we think of sustaining natural resources, and also it curtails the fraudulent practices in the developmental projects. See, now you would have seen the developmental project that is being implemented. For example, hydroelectric project, the forest is submerged, the trees are cut and ecosystem is destroyed. We are not accounting that in the hydroelectricity system. So that is what the purpose of that, so that at least some royalty comes to the government, okay? And it also helps in mitigating changes in the climate. See, when you manage natural resources sustainably. Yes sir, yes sir. Sir, it's all on the web also. We put it on the web. And then what I will do is, I will take you to the Western Ghat, where we have done the ecosystem services. 1 or 2 slides of the Western Ghat. Then I will come to the Mula Mutha Catchment. Then I will take you to the Agrani River Basin. Okay. Then finally, I will also share society relevant science, what we have done, how the society has benefited because of our research. In addition to teaching and research, how the science we have taken to the society, and when the society shows a smile on their face because of our technology or intervention, we feel satisfied. Okay. So now the protocol, this is developed at United Nations. That is called SIA protocol, the system of experimental ecosystem accounting. 179 countries were involved in developing the protocol. 2017, I had published an article on ecosystem services of one district, forest ecosystem in Uttar Kannada district, closer to this state, and also the wetlands of Bangalore. Seeing that my publication, United Nations invited me to take part in the deliberation, and also they asked me whether I can implement that protocol and come up with the ecosystem services for 10 districts in Karnataka for forest ecosystem, agriculture ecosystem and wetland ecosystem. So, but when I signed the MOU, there was a COVID. We were not traveling, and since we were not traveling, myself, my students, we were in the lab or at home, not just 10 districts, we did it for entire Karnataka. And when we did that entire Karnataka, the district-wise analysis, I was asked to do the presentation in the United Nations on behalf of India. When I did it, Europeans were slightly worried about India. They asked, you were supposed to do 10, how did you do 31? I said, that is the power of the youth. If they train the youth of today, we can make wonders in the system. That's what is the background is, okay? Now, as per the protocol, first you have to know what is the extent of the ecosystem, the spatial extent. The second is, you should assess the condition of the ecosystem, whether it's degraded, fragmented, that kind of thing. Then compute the services, goods and services. See, how we are assessed depending on the service what we provide, teaching, research, and we deliver the goods, etc. These are the things. Okay, once we know our the services, we can also assess the monetary value of the asset. Okay, that is the fourth component. To put it in simpler word, see, every ecosystem, depending on the extent and condition, there is a service, and that service will benefit the society. We are accounting these services that benefit the society to understand the worth of the ecosystem and also the asset value of that. Okay, so now, how do we do the ecosystem extent? We have the remote sensing data. We launched the satellites way back in 70s, and every 21 or 30 days interval we get the picture of the Earth. Once you have that remote sensing data, you can do the analysis spatial analysis to find out what changes are happening in the system. Suppose you have your own photograph of yesterday, 10 years back and today, you can find out what changes have happened in you. Similarly, in the remote sensing data of the earth, we can find out what changes are happening. That is what finally our objective is, to have a temporal data analysis to find out what changes are happening in the system. So now we have used the field data. The strength of my group is the field data collection. Okay, strength of my group is we also do the teaching, we do the research. In addition to that, we spend time in the field. Okay, then to assess the condition of the ecosystem, we compute the fragmentation. For example, forest, we compute the fragmentation indices that give where the intact forest is there, where perforated forests are there, where the fragmented, like that, various levels of the conditions. Okay, why this is important. For example, the animal in this region, for them the entire region is this territory. When they move, they pass through this region which is fragmented. Okay, the people are cultivating crop, etc. Then they start eating those crops. When they start eating crop, then the farmers start shooting the animal. Then animal senses the danger. When animal senses the danger, it resides in a smaller pocket here. Then they breed among themselves. The meta population. That means the breeding happens among the cousins. There is no exchange of gene. Earlier animal here would have exchanged the gene here, but now within the house, among the cousins it is happening. So the gene becomes weaker, and the extinction of the species happens. That's why if you are talking about conserving a particular taxa, you need to make sure habitat is not fragmented. That is where this condition assessment we do that. So how do you compute the fragmentation? There are indices like PF and PFF. If you take a kernel of 3 by 3, we find out the proportion of the forest. How many pixels are under forest to the total number of pixels. Then similarly, we find out the PFF, that is proportion of forest in a cardinal direction. Once you know PF and PFF, we know that what is the condition of forest. If PF is 1, everything is forest. That means it's intact forest. Then we know the various levels of fragmentation. This gives the various levels of fragmentation. Now, we have done that assessment for the forest. Okay. Then, when you look at the ecosystem services, the last month, we were in Pune. We were releasing our report on Mula Mutha Catchment. We were accommodated in IISc guest house. When we were entering the guest house, I saw Tulika carefully taking the photograph of this. Then when I stood beside her, I noticed that actually gives the ecosystem services. You see the tree, the number of dependent species, you see the hydrological, the groundwater recharge happening there, pollination happening, and this depicts, if you have a tree at your home, what is the worth of a tree? If you calculate that in terms of the fruit, in terms of the sun, then you can say what is the value of the tree. The estimate shows, the worth of the tree, per year, in terms of carbon, etc. It amounts to about 15 to 50 lakhs per year. 1 year. When you cut a tree, that is this one. Okay. Now, see, when you look at the ecosystem, broadly we look at the services, provisioning, regulating, and cultural service. Provisioning are the tangible resources, benefits, in terms of fuel load, fodder, the water, the food, etc., timber, etc. The regulating is the services provided in terms of carbon sequestration or oxygen production, the groundwater retention, then the soil erosion prevention, the soil nutrient retention, etc. And the cultural services is the recreation or aesthetic value. To do this science, to do this analysis, you need to have a multidisciplinary expertise. There is an integration of the science and engineering department has to happen. Compartment-based system is going to create a havoc in our country. If you want to see the country progress, biology, engineering, everyone has to join, and we need to do the interdisciplinary study. That can happen only when you do this kind of studies involving many experts in the system. Okay. So now, how does this help? See, this helps in developing green GDP so that you have sustainable growth. Now, what is green GDP? See, normally when you have a project, you will find out what is the benefit that you got out of the project. whether it is industry, hydroelectric. But while setting up the project, you would have removed the ecosystem. You have not put the degradation cost in the GDP. When you include the degradation cost of the ecosystem, then it becomes the green GDP, or it is also called gross ecosystem product. So that means you will have sustainable growth by integrating the environment, social and economic aspects. So that you see that all the domains get integrated, and that helps in this one. See, when you start accounting and this one, you do the accounting in GDP, there won't be degradation. Once there is no degradation, there is a renewability of the resources happens in the system. Okay? Now, why we need to do that? We all know the changes in climate is happening. So, how do you know that changes in climate is happening? Look at the data. As a scientist, you should look at the data and make a statement. When I see the data, the temperature is increasing. Okay, which means there is something happening which is not conducive to the Earth. You know, the planet is becoming warmer. Then, why planet is becoming warmer? Look at the emission of greenhouse gases. There is a one-to-one relationship. Carbon dioxide increase in the atmosphere is also contributing to the increase in the temperature. Now, if you want to have sustainable development, you need to bring down the carbon in the system. The best way is maintain the ecosystem. Carbon sequestration happens. Okay. So now, if you don't do it, like Trump, if you don't want to believe in the changes in climate, what is the problem? You will see the disasters as it happened in the Los Angeles and the wildfire and all those things. And sea level rise happens. You know, if Mumbai disappears in another 25 years, I am not surprised. With this kind of the irresponsible activities happening in the country, we are going to pay the price. Okay? Indians are very good in giving a talk, but when it comes to the action, we are very poor. You know, international forum, we do a wonderful job, including my Prime Minister. But action-wise, we do exactly opposite of that. Okay? Now, see, what is the problem? How it affects the food? See, if you look at the corals, with 1.5 degrees Celsius increase in temperature, we lose 70% of corals. If I increase the temperature by another 0.5, it becomes 99%. Or if you look at the endemic species of flora and fauna, you know, we lose 6 insects, 8 plants and 4 vertebrates. These are not insects when I talk about, I am not referring to the invasive one like mosquito, etc. I am talking about endemic species like honeybees, which does the pollination. Because of pollination, you have yield of the crop. You will lose that. Now, if I increase the temperature by another 0.5, you see, I lose 18 insects, 16 plants and 8 vertebrates. Similarly, look at the drought. About 415 million people get affected with a 2 degrees Celsius increase in temperature, and sea level rise, you know, about 48 centimeter with 1.5 become 56 centimeter. That means about 50 million people get affected. So in Karnataka, we will lose Karwar, Mangalore. In Kerala, we will lose entire Kerala. Like that, it happens. Okay. So that means we will have the glacier melt, sea level rise, flooding, drought. You know, flood happens, then immediately drought, and crop yield comes down. Or to summarize, food security becomes threat. You know, that is where is our worry. And water. Okay, the cities become vulnerable, and coastlines become vulnerable, and more importantly, public health. We will have more and more vector-borne diseases like chikungunya, dengue, etc., COVID, etc. Okay. Now, if you want to mitigate the changes in climate, you need to have a resilient system. The resilient system can happen only when you maintain the diversity. You look at this, in one taluk, I have 54 varieties of rice. In one village, I have 16 varieties of brinjal. You know, that is, if you look at them, good in yield, pest resistant. If I hybridize it, I get a product which is climate resilient. But instead of doing that, what we are doing? We get genetically modified crop, genetically engineered crop, without even understanding the implications of that. You know, when you get a GE crop to the country, you are becoming a slave of the multinational company. You know, few of the people are interested in suitcases. They always get into this kind of the wrong policies, etc. Okay. Now, Let us see the region where I am working, Western Ghats. My home is from Kerala to Gujarat. If you look at the earth, we all have only one earth. On the earth, how many species are there if you want to see? Scriptures talk about the 8 to 12 billion species. Rigveda mentions 8 to 12 billion species. In science, we have estimated about 1.3 billion species. We have not even looked at the microorganisms. We have not estimated. But look at the kind of the legacy we have, Rigveda. It talks about even microorganisms. Now, which part of the earth is the diverse? If you want to study that, as you go latitudinally, you will see at this region, 8 to 14 or 15 degree latitude, you have the highest number of plants and animal varieties. Highest number of plants and animal varieties means because of the varieties of plants and animals, you have variety of food. When you have variety of food, you will have the variety of medicine to your body. That's where your body become immune to the diseases. Now, this 8 to 16 degree latitude corresponds to Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Goa part of the Western Ghats. That means some of us, people like me, we have inherited these resources. It's our responsibility to conserve it and give it to the next generation. Naturally, you are neighbor to us. You also enjoy our food because the kind of food what we take in Uttar Kannada district, I see the similar food habits here also. Okay, now we have done how the changes are happening in the system using the remote sensing data. The big data is available, remote sensing data. We have analyzed that using the machine learning algorithm. See, earlier to analyze one district during my PhD days, I used to take about 7 to 8 months. Today, because of machine learning algorithm and freely available public domain data, spatial data, my student analyzed this for the entire region in 8 months. See, that is how empowerment has happened. Only the people like us have to guide the students. They do the wonders. This shows that forests are declining. Not only forests are declining, forests are also getting fragmented. This is the condition of the forest we have assessed. We also predicted, because we have done the temporal analysis of the past data, we can predict it. We predicted what is likely situation. The study shows only 18% of the area will be under forest in Western Ghats. But as per the government of India now, as per the norm, we are supposed to have 33%. So 18% will have, even that 18% we don't want to retain, okay? And the evergreen forest will be only 10%. Now the implication of that is there will be increase in temperature by 1.5 degrees Celsius in Kerala and Karnataka part of Western Ghats. Rainfall will decline in Kerala. Now Kerala receives highest rainfall. We start getting the low rainfall. And more importantly, rainfall pattern will change. Number of rainy days will change. Rain which was supposed to come for a longer duration, the small quantity will come in a short duration. You will have floods. Because of removal of vegetation cover, you will have landslides and mudslides. When we wrote this document, myself, my student, I had written a paragraph. Implication of this we published in 2018. We had warned that with these changes, we will have landslides and mudslides in Kerala and Karnataka. Specifically in Karnataka, I had said Kodagu and such district. Within 6 months, the rain happens, high intensity rainfall, landslide happens, mudslide happened, and everyone started looking at our publication. My student said that, sir, we have done something. I said, don't worry, Indians are good in forgetting also. You just wait for a while, I said. Then, last 4 years, nothing. The last year again, landslide happened in Walchand. Why Walchand happened? Walchand is an ecologically sensitive region. The mafia sitting in Mumbai, Bangalore, they converted a forest into the tea plantation by employing the people who are experts in cutting trees. They were given job in tea plantation and they were given accommodation in the Walchand only. In that village, 150 families were washed away. Who were all those experts? About 490 persons were killed. Look at the tragedy of the system. We lost the experts. Why? Because of the mafia. Okay. So mafias will thrive in the system as long as academicians don't act properly. So now, what is the service provided by the forest? Let us take carbon. For example, you all know the importance of the trees. Okay? I'm sure you are all breathing.
Yes.
Am I right? No, I'm just making sure. What's that?
Yes.
If you are breathing, you require something that is given only by the plants and algae in the water body. Now, how much, the plant sequesters the carbon from the atmosphere, carbon dioxide, stores carbon in the plant form, and oxygen is given to us. How much carbon is stored, you can assess, there are two ways. One is destructive method. By cutting the tree, you weigh it, you get the biomass, then you do the CHN analysis to find out the carbon, which normally is 0.45 to 0.5. That means 45 to 50% is a carbon. There is a non-destructive method. See, earlier people have measured this girth and height when they cut the tree because of the hydroelectric process. Species-wise, we have the relationship. Once you know the species-wise girth and height, you can estimate the biomass. That is why last 3 days we were measuring in the Agrani basin. We wanted to do non-destructive method. So, how much carbon is in the Western Ghat when we assess? It amounts to 1.23 million gigagram. And every year, about 37,000 gigagram of carbon gets stored. This carbon is equivalent to the carbon emitted in Trivandrum, Cochin, Bangalore, Mangalore, etc. That means nature is maintaining the balance. Now, if you look at the economic value of that, it amounts to 100 billion rupees or $1.4 billion. Now, you might ask, what is the use of this number? See, when I am a part of the Indian delegation, when we go abroad, I argue that the carbon that is stored in the forest in India or the carbon emitted by the industrialized countries, because we were not industrialized at that time, they need to pay the money or the charger for the services provided by the forest ecosystem. How much they have to pay? This is the amount they have to pay for the Western Ghat. Similarly, we have Himalaya, Northeast, etc. Okay, now we understood what is the carbon. Okay, next is the water and the vegetation linkages. If you want people to be happy, just give water. That's what Tarun Bharat's son, when Rajendra Singh and our Narendra sir are doing, I felt it is a noble job. That's where we joined hands with them to understand the thing. Because I've been studying this. This is a man-created system. How it is the thing, I was curious to know what they are doing here. Okay. Now, when you look at this region, see, I have a two scenario. In fact, Madam, I have the scenario. See, this is a scenario 1991 and today. Same month, monsoon period, I don't have water here. Now, what could be the reason? If you look at it, appears that cover of the land decides the water availability. Okay. Now, to understand that, I will take you to the river basin, where we conducted a study. For every water body, there is a catchment area. The catchment area integrity decides the water availability in the water body. Okay. So, the water body could be perennial, that means 12 months, 8 months, 6 months kind of a thing. What we did is, we put sensors in the underlying layer to find out how much water get infiltrated during the monsoon. Okay, we selected the various catchment. One dominated by native species forest, another one monoculture plantation, third one agriculture, the fourth one the urban area like this, fifth one degraded landscape. Like this 32 location we selected and we monitored for 32 months. Our study shows when the catchment is dominated by native species forest, because the native species forests are diverse. The roots are diverse. When roots are diverse, soil microorganisms are diverse and abundant. When soil microorganism is diverse and abundant, soil microbial activity is higher. That's why your porosity, permeability, bulk density, etc. when you assess, you will say that the microorganisms are doing the job. Okay. Now, what is the advantage of that? See, when it rains, water percolates because of the porous environment. It fills this zone, groundwater zone, then it fills the vadose zone. Then after saturation, you will see the water flowing in the water body. Now, during the monsoon, you have water in the water body because of saturation here and overflow into the stream. Now, after 4 months, our sensors started telling us Instead of water going down, water is moving like this towards the water body laterally. So the next 4 months. During summer, the water stored here comes to the water body during the next 4 months, which you call it as a base flow. When you teach hydrology, you will say base flow, intermittent flow, etc. This corresponds to intermittent flow, this corresponds to base flow. Okay. Now, see, we found in this region, see, the 12 months water is available. This is 8 months is available. This is 6 months available. This is 4 months water available. You just overlay the vegetation cover in the region. Wherever vegetations are of native species, we have 12 months water. Wherever forests are fragmented, depending on the level of intrusion of monoculture plantation, you have 8 to 6 months of water. And here forest cover is less than 30%, we have only 4 months of water. Okay. Now, how much water get infiltrated? When it rains, you see that about 65 to 70% of the rainfall get infiltrated during the monsoon, wherever forests are there. Wherever forests are degraded in the name of development, only 20 or 22% get infiltrated. Okay. Now, let us look at the demand of the society. See, this gives the demand graph, the red and yellow here, for agriculture, horticulture, livestock rearing, drinking, etc. You see, wherever forests are there, resource availability, green graph is bigger than the red graph. Wherever here, in the name of development, we remove the forest, you see the demand for water is there, but there is no water. Okay? This we published in a journal. Of course, you know, earlier people were saying if the forests are there, that transpiration is higher. Because of that, the reservoir will not have the water. That was their earlier thing. All the Western literature, they talked about it, and our fellows also practicing it. After they become engineer, they used to cut the trees. But for the first time, we have disproved that. Okay, and when we publish, this has got a higher citation also. So now, this is nothing new. You know, if you look at Lord Shiva, his head is always covered with hair. When the hair is there, he retains Ganga so that we have water on the earth. Now, to summarize what I said so far, when Mother Earth is covered with the native species forest, she retains the water for 12 months. That's where catchment treatment becomes a very important part of the water management. Okay, so that this, and when we convert that, or to put it in simpler word, when Mother Earth is covered with the native species sari, she retains the water for 12 months. You all have water for because of that. When we convert that green sari of native species into synthetic sari of rubber, etc., then she retains the water for 6 to 8 months. That means one big fellow will become big at the cost of loss of water for 4 to 6 months for the villagers. You see, that is not the development. And when we degrade the catchment with forest cover less than 30%, we will not have water. Only during monsoon it is there. And you know, and for these regions, our earlier ancestors understood the linkage. They declared that as a sacred forest for the people who believe in God. In our society, diverse, there are some fellows who don't believe in God. For them, they put some daityas and the thing. And if you come to Kerala, Karnataka, you will see even here Maharashtra rice are there. Okay, Dev rice are there. Okay, unfortunately, it is getting into idle land by the idle fellows. Okay, so now let us see what is sustainability. I learned sustainability concept from this lady. When I observed her in a coastal area, she was collecting the biomass. Every day, mother and daughter-in-law together were collecting only one basket. I monitored for 4 days. Then I asked her, "You have sufficient time. Why you don't go for the second one?" Then she told me, "When I sell this biomass, what I collected today in one basket, I earn 350 rupees, which is sufficient for me to run my family. For tomorrow, I will collect it tomorrow." That means she is making sure renewability is there in the system. For sustainability, renewability is an important thing. Looting the resources of today and depriving our children the right to live is not the. That is what she teaches us. Okay. And similarly, when you do the project, as long as you are not depriving the local people the right to live, here railway connectivity between Kerala and Mumbai, Konkan Railway, but people were not deprived their right to practice agriculture, fishery, etc. That is sustainable development. Okay. Now, how you can take it to the decision making? We developed the decision support system. We integrated all the variables. The forest cover, flora, then the hydrological parameters, geological parameters, the social parameters, etc. We divided entire Western Ghat into 5 minutes by 5 minutes grid. Each grid, what kind of forest cover is there, what kind of biodiversity is there, and then we assigned the weight based on their relative importance. Then aggregated score, based on that we identified the region as ecologically sensitive. Earlier I had done for one district, Uttar Kannada district. That is what went to the Madhav Gadgil report. Professor Gadgil wrote ecologically sensitive. It is based on the input given by us. Then he was keen to have it for the entire Western Ghat because the time was so less than a year. We did it for taluk level. Prasad was there, who is good in the GIS. We did it for the at taluk levels. Okay. Now we have done it at village level. Okay. So now to see the Western Ghat is divided into 5 minutes by 5 minutes grid. Depending on the extent of forest cover, we have given the weights. Like this, for each variable, we have assigned the weights. Flora, fauna. Then we develop the decision support system. Once you have the 4 levels of the aggregated score, you can make 4 groups. This is what we developed for the entire Western Ghat. Sitting at this place, you can visualize, you can select your state, select your district, you can select your taluk and select your village. Find out what is this one, the ecological sensitiveness. You might wonder why we developed this. As per the Madhav Gadgil the committee report, I am sure you will know, and Kastaranjan committee report. The Supreme Court, because somebody went for a PIL, Supreme Court asked the Green Bench all the state government to give the village level the eco-sensitive list of the villages. But none of the state government were doing it. Then since I am in the committees of the NGT, one of the expert members alerted me. He said, TVR, you should do something because you are from the region. I told him, I will give you the information what the state government has not given. Not only to the Supreme Court, I will make it available to the public. Everybody in that region should visualize the thing. And I launched this portal, in a remote area in Shivamogga. I was invited to deliver the foundation lecture, KV Supanna Memorial Lecture at Shivamogga. I felt that is the forum to do it because I wanted to see how effective this would be, whether it reaches the Delhi. As I anticipated, within a month there was a star question in the parliament about this app, asking for the details. Then immediately Ministry of Environment and Forest sends a committee who works on ecologically sensitive region to my lab to find out the details of the thing. When I presented to them, I highlighted the carbon service provided by the forest. When I did the carbon service provided by the forest amount to 100 billion rupees, the chairman of the committee, Sanjay, said, I will tell the minister of who is in charge of forest in Karnataka so that he will do something. Then he met the minister in the afternoon after meeting me. He explained to the minister about the services provided for forest, especially the carbon. The moment the carbon service, and also he hinted to him, because of this money, we will get a lot of money to the state. The moment the money was told, he said, we will accept the Kastaranjan committee report. Okay, see, that is how they think, and that's how this helps. Okay, so now we understood what we have done for the. Now, if you want to visualize this in your mobile, you just this one. We have in the Play Store app called Sahyadri. Okay, Google Play Store, you will get that. Within 2 years, about 30,000 people have accessed this website. It shows that this is, if you look at it, that is what the society requires. Okay, so now you know what we have done. Okay. Okay, now I will come to the Karnataka from Western Ghat because I spent some time in Karnataka part of Western Ghat. After we did that for 31 district analysis, when I submitted a report and presented in the United Nations, Speaker asked me whether they can publish this report as a book. Within 6 months they published this book. last October 24, it was published. This is the only book that is available covering the forest, agriculture and wetland. As per the mandate, we were supposed to do forest and agriculture. Then since two of my students have worked extensively on wetland, I asked them to do the analysis for the wetlands also. That's how it covers 3 ecosystems. Okay. So now, how did we assess? We quantified provisioning, regulating and cultural services. Provisioning based on the residual value method, I will discuss that later. Okay. And aggregation of these services become total ecosystem supply value, which is also called GEP, gross ecosystem product. Okay. Now this one, then you find out the asset value of that. Okay. Now when you look at the forest ecosystem in Karnataka, see, in 2005 at 2019 price, it amounts to 2,841 billion rupees per year. We get the goods and services worth 2,841 billion rupees per year, and in 2019 it has come down to 1,835 billion rupees per year. Okay, if you keep 1,000 rupees in a bank at 10% interest, you get 100 rupees every year. Now to get 100 rupees, you have to keep 1,000 rupees. Now to get 1,835 billion rupees, what is the worth of the forest? That is the asset value we computed, which shows that in 2005 it is 73,000 billion rupees, while it has come down to 47,000 billion rupees. My suggestion to government of Karnataka is, we have lost this much forest in terms of money. All the officials who have worked in the forest department last 7 decades, they have to pay for it. Make them accountable. See that how powerful it could be. Okay. So that every officer, when he sits on the chair, he will know there are many youngsters like Paras, Negi, Tulika doing this kind of analysis. They will have a trouble in this system. Okay. That's why the valuation becomes important. Okay. Now, with that, let me come to the Mula Mutha Catchment. Shaileja madam from the Living River Foundation, Jeevit Nadi, she invited me. She sent me a mail asking, there is a riverfront project is coming. All the people think that the cement structures are beautiful. Your vegetation is not important. So can you come and highlight how important vegetation is? Starting from Prime Minister down to the civil engineer in the world wants riverfront project. Because any concrete structure will have extensive amount of the expenditure. On average, I have done the analysis, 45 to 50% they want it. Consultant to all the fellows in the system. So now she said about 43 kilometers is the riverfront project. Then I told her, I cannot analyze only my hand portion. I should assess the entire ecosystem. That's where we decided to do the study in the Mula Mutha Catchment, which is about 2,039 square kilometers. Okay. So then, if you look at the rejuvenation cost of the project, is about 2,000 crores. Okay. So now, so-called rejuvenation, it is going to kill the system. It's not rejuvenation. Okay. So in that,
4,007.
No, okay. That I am talking about the one part. So now, the ecosystem, the valuation, these are all tangible goods. We found out what is the quantity, the water, NTFE, firewood, fodder, etc. And we use the residual value method. What is residual value? You have a market price, deduct the cost of extraction plus transportation. That residual value is the benefit. See, suppose you sell a product in the market, you get 10 rupees. You would have spent 6 rupees to extract. The 4 rupees is your profit. That is called residual value. That's how we did the calculation. Similarly, we looked at the carbon sequestration. We use the social cost, soil conservation. Today, it is not difficult to assess that because many of our colleagues across the globe are doing this study. So it's not that difficult. We use the same protocol to do that. That is what, Mula Mutha Catchment gave an opportunity to do the primary analysis. Earlier what we used to do, somebody in Belgium would have studied this. We used to say, oh, that value is applicable to our region, and we used to modify that and use it for that. Instead of that, we said we will calculate using the primary data. That is where for the first time in the country, we came up with the primary data collection, the regulating services. See, this is anyway primary data provisioning. Regulating services, we did that. And cultural services, since we have done extensive work in Western Ghat, and this is a part of the Western Ghat, we use our data to do this one. So the combination of provisioning, regulating and cultural is the total ecosystem supply value. And once you know the TSV, you compute the NPV, net present value. Okay, so that's what we did, and the summary is here in this table. And this is give the glimpse of the field work. We carried out like what we did in Agrani River Basin. 3 or 4 days we spent in Mula Mutha Catchment. Very active members of the Jeevit Nadi Foundation were part of the team. We went to the sector rows, we enjoyed the environment, we talked to the local people, etc. We compiled the data. First thing we did is we did the extent assessment, extent of the forest ecosystem using remote sensing data. What type of forests are there, what kind of land use is there, how much is open land, we estimated using the remote sensing data. Now, the proposed project, if you look at, I will show you the next slide, is in this region, okay? And these are the sub-catchments that are likely to be affected. We looked at what is the land use in each of the sub-catchment, okay? Then we arrived at, the total land uses in the entire region. The highlighted one or the sub-bases where because of the so-called project, it would get affected, okay? So then we can condition assessment through the fragmentation indices we did, and this gives the fragmentation indices. It shows that only a small fraction of the forest is intact forest. 463 is the total forest area, hectares, the square kilometers, where intact forest is about 172. Okay, so now we know what kind of forest ecosystem is there. Then we did the provisioning services. See, we had an opportunity to talk to people like this who are selling the product, NTFP, etc. Of course, we purchased the item, we enjoyed the food, okay, and that's how we collected the field data. And then the water, we did the computation of the catchment yield, okay, based on the land use, which amounts to about if you look at 7,211 million rupees, okay. Then this gives the non-timber forest produce. There are two scenarios. One, the neighboring this one, the Gadchiroli, there is some study people have done on NTFP, tribal population. Then the forest department also gives the some value. We looked at both the thing, we estimated what is the revenue we get from NTFP. As per that, our computation shows 42 million rupees is the thing. And as for the forest department record, we looked at this one, which is done for the entire Maharashtra, the division wide, which is about 76 million rupees. So among the two scenarios, we use the low case scenario. That means we use this 42 for aggregation. We didn't use 76. Okay? Why? Because here, there are tendo layers and all those things were accounted in because they are doing at the division this one. Then we noticed in this catchment, there is no such resources there. That's why we didn't do that. Okay? Then we looked at the fodder, because remote sensing data gives the spatial extent of the grassland. Then from the local people, we came to know what is the productivity of the grass and also the market price of that. And that's how we arrived at 411 million rupees per year. Okay. Then fishery department gives the data. We use that fishery data with the market value, which amounts to 109 million rupees per year. Then fuel, we talk to the local people, and there are a couple of studies which gives the per capita fuel wood consumption in the region. Using that, we aggregated what is the total fuel wood is used, and also cost of the fuel wood we taken into account, which amounts to about 101 million rupees per year. Okay. So then we looked at the regulating services. We did a carbon stock, carbon sequestration, soil conservation, groundwater recharge, etc. When you look at the carbon stock, this is the region where we did the field work. Okay, wherever forests are there, we just traveled. Okay, we measured the girth and height, and then we calculated what is the carbon stored in the thing, which amounts to about 300 billion rupees. Okay, this is billion rupees. Okay, that is standing biomass. Okay, so then per year also we calculated how much gets added, NPP, etc., which is about 29 billion rupees per year. Then we looked at the soil conservation, soil nutrient value in the forest area versus non-forest area. Took the soil sample, assessed the carbon and the other nutrient, and that nutrient value is about 83 million rupees per year. Okay. Then groundwater recharge. We have the groundwater data in that region, the map thing, which gives the spatial data. From that we calculated what is the water available and what is the worth of that. That is 1495 million rupees per year. Then nutrient cycling is 100 billion rupees per year. Okay, pollination 1438 million rupees per year. You know, how did we assess pollination? We took the farms closer to the forest, found out what is the yield. Then away from the forest, what is the yield? The difference gives the pollination service. That's how we quantified, which amounts to 1438 the million rupees per year. Okay. Then air purification. You know, when you climb a tree during this season, you will see the dust deposition. That means particulate matter, it is arresting. You know, when he was doing this, the girth and height measurement, he was climbing the tree. End of the day, he was looking like the black shirt man became a brown shirt man, okay, including his beard and hair, etc. So that means it traps the particulate matter and also the gaseous thing. You know, today the sensors are there. We have put the sensors throughout the country. We means not I, the system. So we use that. What is the particulate matter in the forest region versus the other region, which shows the lower particulate matter in the forest region. That difference gives quantum of the particulate matter removed by the forest, which amounts to 177 the billion rupees. Okay. Then habitat protection. What kind of the habitat are there and how it protects? How did we assess this? We looked at the money spent for the national park and zoos. And here, what kind of animals are there without any protection? Listen, that means the money spent on zoo or the national park is the money naturally or this. Okay. So then cultural services. There are some. We had an opportunity to visit some of the sacred groves. We visited. So, okay, and we asked how many people visit. People visit these groves once or twice a year. You know, it's not 100 or it's in thousands. You know, they spend, even if one fellow spends 10 rupees, you know what is the worth of the thing. Okay, and sometimes people spend large amount also. So that we accounted, which amounts to about 50 million rupees per year. Now, aggregation of all these things is the total ecosystem supply value or the gross ecosystem product, and based on that we computed NPV. Okay. So, now this gives the value. See, it amounts to about 50 billion rupees. That's what sir was telling, 5,000 crores per year from Mula Mutha Catchment. To get the revenue of 5,000 billion rupees, 5,000 crores per year, asset value of the forest ecosystem is the 1,28,900 crore rupees. That is the value of the asset. Now, if somebody is destroying the forest, they have to keep this much money. You know, that's where we came up with the per hectare value also, so that they know that how much they have damaged. Okay. So then we also looked at the sub-basin wise, what is the TSV and NPV. Then, you know, where the project is there, 100 meter is supposed to be the buffer region. So we accounted what is the worth of that. It amounts to about 398 million rupees per year, or 10,249 million rupees is the NPV of that. Then there was a small sacred grove in that region. We looked at the value of that, where that so-called riverfront project is coming up. It was about to remove this sacred grove, the worth of that sacred grove, and I did a presentation to the municipality administration, forest department. End of the day, their mindset had changed. You know, they started saying that we will relook at this project. So, okay. So now this is the team that worked. Okay, you know, you will see these two youngsters. They traveled from Mula Mutha to Agrani River, and we were doing the job here. Okay. Now let me come to the Agrani River Basin. See, when we look at Agrani River Basin, part of it is in Karnataka, part of it is in the Maharashtra. Okay. So now we have looked at the intervention. What is the intervention here? The check dams are constructed. Flowing water is arrested so that you have water throughout the year. And how it affects the influence the ecosystem and the people? People get the water throughout the year so that their livelihood has gone up. Now, how much it has gone up is our job to quantify, and also what is the forest area in the region. Okay. So now this gives the statistics of this one. Now, if you look at this region is also around the 1909 square kilometer. Mula Mutha is about 2000, and this also by and large is the same this one. And you see that about 1300 square kilometer is in Maharashtra, and remaining is in this one. See, here I am looking for the last 20 years crop data. How the crop yield has changed, and what is the area under crop, what is the production, what is the thing. In Karnataka, and at least in Karnataka, we are way ahead of other states. Everything is digitized, available to the public. But Maharashtra, we looked at, because people want to, when you give more information, no, you cannot consume that, the resources. That's why they deliberately are not giving the thing. So I requested sir to see that he gets it through his contact. So if I get it, then his job becomes easier. If they do not give it, then we know how to do it. That's a different issue. So now this gives the catchment in the Maharashtra part. This is in Karnataka part. Okay. So now we also know the villages that are there in the various taluks, of this basin. This is Athani taluk in the Karnataka. For this, I have the crop data for the last 25 years. But what I don't have is the Jat taluk. I want for each village the last 20 years the type of crop grown, what is the production, then I can calculate productivity and economic value of that. Then Miraj taluk, okay, and this one, okay, then Tasgang this was, okay, and Kanapur. These are the various taluks in the region. Then we looked at the topography, because we are talking about the water. We try to look at this one. We also were curious whether the check dams are placed at the right place. So that also we try to look at it. So then we looked at this gives the characteristics of this basin. It shows that aridity index as per the literature is 0.266 to 0.310. It's a dry and this one. And there is a high risk due to increasing temperature. Then whatever water is there, there is a transpiration, evaporation, etc. Okay. Then we try to look at the hydrology. This one. This estimated annual runoff is about 63.95 cubic millimeter, and surface water availability as per the literature is 373 cubic meter per hectare. Then we also looked at the geology and soil and land use also. Now we did the analysis, land use data analysis we have done. So see, this is the land use analysis. Before coming to the field, we wanted to know how it is in the region, where all forest is there and all those things, and we were trying to cross verify as we moved. That's where the GPS was required. We were given GPS, but there's a connecting device is there, connecting to the computer so that I can transfer the thing. So that was not there. So had it come to me yesterday, probably I would have shown that data today. Anyway, so let us see. Then the Paras has done, Tulika have done the assessment of the forest carbon stock, which is about 6 million ton. And soil retention is about 0.87 million ton in the Maharashtra part of Agrani River Basin. Okay, so then last this is on the first day we went around collecting the field data. You can say we started our journey from collector's office. So what do you say? Inauguration of the thing happened at the collector's office. Then we started moving in the region. Of course, in the evening we had a detailed discussion in our office in the guest house. So madam had joined with the two of the botany colleagues. He is here. Okay. Now I have done the rough estimate forest ecosystem. Okay. The TSP is about 225 crores per year. Just I calculated what is the area type of the thing. Approximately we have arrived at, and NPV is about 5,705 crores. Okay. So, but subject to change, because this is without going to field, sitting in Bangalore, based on the spatial extent, we have arrived at. Now, after that, we need to see the condition. Then, based on that, value will come down this one. Okay. Then we also looked at what is the ecosystem service. Then we considered two neighboring districts, Belagavi and Uttar Kannada for our comparison. Maharashtra is closer to that. So now we consider. Belagavi we have done as a part of the Karnataka study. Athani region we know what is this. And Maharashtra thing we need to do that. So then based on the forest agriculture area what is there, is about 1,57,000 hectares of agriculture area is there. and various crops, perennial as well as the seasonal crop like the paddy, etc. Then total ecosystem supply value amounts to about 1360. This is like exit poll, okay? Please don't take this number as the final number. I'm just giving you a trend. The next time if I tell you 1100, don't say on that day at this time you made a statement 1316, how it has come down, it should have been more, okay? Then NPV of the agriculture ecosystem is about 6,55,000 crores, okay? So there is a boost, because of the water, the productivity has gone up. How much it has gone up, we will estimate, and the credit should go to Tarun Bharat's side. Okay, there are many institutions in this region, they could have intervened. Many departments in this region, they could have done this intervention, but it didn't happen. But Tarun Bharat's son did it, so we are grateful to them. Wherever water is given, I am grateful to the kind-hearted people. Okay, so now Madam is here. Wonderful. She told us what is the and also Swapnil is there and Saideep are there. These three people accompanied us. And after the field work, yesterday evening I had a slight health issue because I was exposed to some pollutant in the field. So then I wanted to take rest. Then Madam was calling. Then I told Narendra, sir, give me 1 hour rest. After that I will be ready. And I took rest, drank a lot of water, and then I was ready for the thing. When I went to her house, she didn't realize that I am sick, but I was healthy. Okay, so that's what is happening in the company of good people. Who are those good people who take care of the plants? That's what the job. Like a mother at home, when they take care of the mother earth, I respect them, I salute them, and it was a good knowledge for us also when we moved along. In this one, she was explaining every plant and what is the medicinal properties of that, and she gave us some plants also, all spices, all there are many things she was telling. Okay, I am in the last part of my thing. As a scientist, what I have done, how it has helped the society. Okay, see, mine is a low cost approach, wastewater treatment, then rainwater harvesting, creating water bodies, and mini forest in the region, and environmental education. Whatever I have learned, I communicate. My students do the communication. I think probably I must have given about 2,000 lectures. My students another 500 to 600 lectures in the system. Okay, and of course we teach. I teach 2 courses, say this one. Okay, and also do the research. I have published 4 not 5 papers. Okay, that's why I said don't reveal anything. And 23 books. Even after that, I feel still I am unemployed. Okay, whenever the invitation comes, we take the bag and move forward. Okay, see, when you look at Bangalore, how Bangalore is changing. Green porous landscape to the concrete landscape of 2025. So when Bangalore faced a severe water crisis last year, our website became popular. My interviews, there were about 43,000 views were there. But some fellow who copied this image and created a narrative in Hindi, 9.9
million
lakh views in a week's time. Okay? It doesn't mean copy paste because that guy doesn't know the subject. He can only do that, but he cannot answer the question. Okay? So then another thing is Bangalore Lake Information System. See, 3 of my students as a part of doctoral work worked on various aspects of the lakes in Bangalore. See, as per the historical record, in the Bangalore of 740 square kilometer, way back in 1800 we had 1452 water bodies and 80% green cover. Because of the temperature in the city during the May month was 14 to 16 degrees Celsius, that is summer. And for a few days in December, we had 0 degrees Celsius. And we were growing apples in a palace orchard. Today we have 216 water bodies in Bangalore. If you look at historical topo sheet, 730 water bodies in 70s has become 216. That means about 500 plus water bodies people have swallowed. Now whatever the remaining is there, because of our research and putting it online, people are hesitant to engage. If they encroach, immediately we will put the thing saying how much they have encroached. So somebody goes to the court and this one, and this gives the lake-wise. You see the water quality, then the algae, zooplankton, fish, and also ecosystem service. It gives the lake-wise. Okay, and two students, they are from Kerala, but they worked on Bangalore lakes. Okay, so now wastewater treatment, which was quite popular in the country, is this Jaipur model. You know, my study of 2005, what I have published in 2005, Jaipur Lake and surrounding this lake, there were 25 wells were there. When we did the analysis of water quality, all of them had nitrate. Nitrate is a carcinogen, which means it introduces cancer. Then we pushed the government to rejuvenate the lake. I was a member of the committee. At the time, the government was not willing to have a tertiary plant there. Then that gave an opportunity. I constructed wetland and algal pond. See, when the water passes through the algal pond, stagnation of the water happens, phosphorus is removed by the algae. Then it passes through the wetland, which is the plants like colocasia, typhi, etc. They require nitrogen. So that means N is removed. So the last 12 years, my students have monitored the lake, and surrounding there are 300 wells are there. None of them have nitrate. 300 wells. That means I have satisfaction of giving clean water to those 300 well users. It's one of the popular things. If you do Google search, you will understand. It's called IISc model. Some people call it as TVR model, etc. Okay. Then how we can solve the problem in Bangalore? My simple solution is rainwater harvesting through the lake. 216 lake, one ward, one lake is there. So if you look at the rainfall, we get 700 to 850 millimeter rainfall. If you harvest rainwater, you have 15 TMC of water in a region where the demand is 18 TMC. That means 70% of the water requirement can be met from the rainwater harvesting. There are two ways of rainwater harvesting. Rooftop harvesting, individual houses will have 3 to 4 months of additional water. And another approach, the best approach is rejuvenate the lake, retain the rainwater so that groundwater recharge happens. When we rejuvenate Saraki Lake, within a year, groundwater table improved from 920 feet to the 610 feet. 310 feet increase in the water table happened. And last year, when entire Bangalore faced a water crisis, in Saraki Lake, there was enough water. Surrounding the well water had enough for this one. Because of high moisture content, the temperature in that region was 2 to 3 degrees lower. Whereas the other part of Bangalore was facing heat wave, not this region. That is the model we are asking government to replicate. Now, we use 18 TMC of water. If we treat that, similar to Jaipur model, I get 16 TMC of water. That means 15 TMC because of rainwater harvesting, 16 TMC because of the wastewater treatment. That means 31 TMC of water is available in Bangalore where the demand is 18 TMC. Now, for this model to work, I have 5R formula. It's quite popular, my model. First R is a responsible citizen. Who are responsible? People with environmental knowledge are responsible. When they have environmental knowledge, they will be sensible. When they are sensible, they become responsible. When they become responsible, that's what the country requires. Sensible citizens in the country. Okay, then they allow the rejuvenation of the lake so that I can retain the rainwater, and also they allow the reuse and recycle of the wastewater. When I give a talk like this, people ask me, why do you want us to treat wastewater and drink it? I always tell them, come with me. When I travel from Mysore to Bangalore, you will see Kaveri water flowing. You will also see Kaveri water receiving the sewage of Mysoreans. That means the water you are drinking in Bangalore, in your tap, is the sewage of Mysoreans. Instead of drinking sewage of Mysoreans, better to drink your own sewage, which will be more tasty. So that's how we communicate, okay? So now, we also came up with the rejuvenation thing, I've been pushing the thing and many lakes are being rejuvenated. That's how science helps for the benefit of society. What did we say? Desilt and arrest the contaminants coming. Decontaminate and arrest the contaminant. Arrest the contaminant means untreated sewage getting into the lake, industrial effluent coming. You should make them treat it, okay, through the treatment plant, and do the desilt so that the contaminant get removed. So, I prepared this report for 2 lakes in Bangalore, the big lakes, Balanjur and Vattu. We did a study in that region this is the sampling point where we collected water sample. This is one is a 900 acres, other one is about 500 acres. The huge lake. So army helped us in sampling. They gave the boat and soldiers came along with my student. We were doing the thing. When we quantify the silt, it is about 11 million cubic meter. When I published that 11 million cubic meters, there are some pseudo experts in the system. They said, oh, TVR is going to create the traffic jam by shifting this 11 million cubic meter. But that criticism helped me. What I did is, since I was a member of National Green Tribunal, I had a meeting with the farmers. And since I had the power of NGT, I asked the government to give the silt to the farmers. We didn't have any contaminant. We gave that silt to about 400 acre farmers. After every month I visit the region. After 4 months when I visited the farmers who had taken the silt, that shows the bumper crop. And we did the analysis of the elements, the nutrient, etc. And our study shows, if you look at N, you can fertilize soils in Punjab. If you look at P, you can fertilize soils in the Uttar Pradesh. If you look at K, you can fertilize soils in the Telangana or Andhra Pradesh. And economical value of that is 15,000 crores. The moment I said 15,000 crores, the media said, the worth of the silt in Balanzur is 15,000 crores. I just called and said, thank you very much for this. That tomorrow every fellow will come and take one back. So my lake rejuvenation happens without me spending anything from the government. So you see that, because of the nutrient. Even I looked at one of my students who is a civil engineer, I asked him to look at the possibility of brick. Because historically people are making pot and bricks, etc. When we did that, the worth of the brick is 1,500 crores. Which was sitting in the lake and creating the hydrological disturbance. If you take it out, you have the resources, the sun. Okay? And that is what the farmers showed, the bumper crop. Each farmer tells me, because of my decision to give this silt, they earned 1,50,000 per acre extra. They grow the green leaves, vegetables, like brinjal, etc. thrice. Okay, you can say 1,50,000 into 3 is the worth of that this one. So that's how the people have benefited. Okay, then we have solved the God's problem also. Some of you are unable to do it. Okay, when I say God, people question where is a God. In a temple there was a pond. There is a famous temple at a place called Gokarna. It is as good as Varanasi. Okay, there is a Shiva temple, Ganesha temple, but there was a pond. Koti Tirtha. The youth wrote to me saying that there is a smell. Can you do something? So whenever there is an invitation, we just travel. We don't worry about TA, DA, all those things. I told my student, come, let us go, and collected the water sample. When we analyzed the water sample, we found that because of the organic content. As organic content get deposited and decay, naturally you have hydrogen sulfide, you have a smell. So now what I did is, I had a meeting with the priests because they play an important role there. They are responsible for allowing the disposal of the rice balls and puja material into the thing, because the rituals happens there like Varanasi. I identified 2 locations. One I named it as Vaikunta and another one Kailasa. If a person wants to dispose in Vaikunta, they have to pay 25 rupees. Another place 50 rupees. Okay. So in the process, we have 20 to 22,000 rupees per month. Okay, which is given to NGO. The NGO has hired 3 youths. Their job is to do the de-weeding in the lake and take out the rice balls, excess rice balls from here, feed it to cattle in the goshala. In the temple there is a goshala. Now, in the meanwhile, I introduce the fish which eats rice. Okay, now for the last 5 years, the lake looks like this, which was like this before the God met scientists. God was taking abhisheka of dirty water. After meeting scientists, now he is, both of them, father and son duo, gets a clean water abhisheka. You can imagine how God will be happy also. Yes. So, if you look at my profile last 5 years, you will see that, including publication in Nature, etc., we have done it. Because of God, we didn't do it. We did it, but God has acted as a catalyst in the process. And also when people leave us, we don't cry. In their name, we just get the school children, do the planting of Sangli. You know, one of my colleagues, well-known ornithologist, passed away at the age of 42 because of overuse of mobile with the brain hemorrhage. We used to tell him, don't use it. We used to have conference call while traveling in a car. I used to tell him, don't do it. And after I shouted at him once, within 6 months he passed it. But that is this one. And you know, in his name, we planted 500 ficus species, varieties of ficus in a region. You know, the children when they celebrate birthday, they come, they water it, they take care of it. So that's why some amount of the awareness as well as the thing happens in the system. Okay. So now, if you come to the campus, we have created a water body. Okay. It is a perfect lab for my student to do the biofuel study. Not only students are happy, I also have otter in the campus. You know, otter is a voracious eater of fish. I don't feed fish. When we did the biodiversity mapping, we found, you see that 2005 I am taking measurement. 2009 onwards it looks like this. And then algae, zooplankton and the fish and birds. That means nature knows how to create ecosystem the moment you facilitate. You know what Tarun Bharat Singh is doing, you know, small initiative, but it has a compounded effect. So that is the thing. And then when we meet people, you know, people in distress only meet me. The people in Ambani house and all, they don't meet me, okay? So this man is a saint in a place called Mula Mutha. 2014 and 15 there was a drought. So 2016 I was traveling in that district, media covered by travel plans. So then he asked me whether I can meet him. When I met him, he said, we are facing a severe drought situation, no water. Can you do something? I said, you are a saint. You should be able to solve it. Then he said, no, it requires scientific thing. Then I said, if you need a scientific thing, there are 32 lakes in your talo, can you rejuvenate it? He said, I can do 1 or 2, not 32. I said, okay, do 2. Remaining 30, I will get it done. You know, last, this one, when he did 2, as I predicted, remaining 30 were rejuvenated by local people. In the meanwhile, we also gave a proposal in his campus to create a water body. Lowest point, what is the water yield, what is the size of the thing this one. You know, I had told him in the May 16, when I gave the report, if you create water body, June it's going to rain, you will have the water. Then as I predicted, he shared this photograph with me showing the water. And the success is because of the youth. You know, this gentleman is also young and the youth had taken part in this decent. And the college, engineering college and science college is involved in the thing. You know, the CEO of this institution is also quite young. So when I saw the youth, I felt he can do something. The next medicine I gave it to him, which created a water body in his campus, which stores 25 lakh liters of water. And also he takes up the planting of native species in the catchment. You know, after a year when I visited, you see greenery with abundant water. Okay. Now I will tell you something very interesting. You know, this gentleman who is the CEO of that, the engineering college, was a bachelor, trying to get married, but not happening. You know, today getting girls is a slight. I wanted to tell you that. But in Bangalore, what happens? All these fellows, no, through the Facebook, they will marry. All those faceless fellows. Next month, they will be filing the divorce paper. But it didn't happen to him. See, I had jovially told him, you just create water body. You will have a partner at home. As I predicted, he gets a partner within 6 months. Wonderful partner who take care of the joint family. And not only that, when I go, she doesn't want me to stay in the hotel or guest house. She wants me to stay in their house. Where it can happen. When I go to Bangalore and knock at door, people say I am not at home, but I don't know who is inside. If they are saying not at home. You know that here also the experiment gives another thing. When you want to see prosperity in the region, science, society, culture and spirituality should go hand in hand if you want to see the prosperity in the region or the renewability in the region or the sustainability in the region. That is what these experiments demonstrate. Okay? Now, when you come to my campus, you will see this climber. I was fascinated by that. I felt I should have it in the campus. You know, I took this pot which had 14 seeds. Out of 14 seeds, 7 I have kept in my lab. Other 7 I planted in various places in the campus. Out of 7, only one place it has survived. That is this one. Where it has survived? Next to the building where I worked for 2 decades. The plants also know who takes care. Because every day when I used to come out, myself, my colleague, we used to discuss, okay, it has sprouted, it is giving the branch, all those things. Probably that has learned that, and we used to water. Every time when I climbed down from the stair, I used to put the water to the thing and all. So that's how it survived. And in front of that building, we created a mini forest in a 2 hectares area, 49 native species. 500 saplings we planted in a region which was infested with Parthenium. Groundwater table at that time was 150 feet. We planted this native species, 49 species, 500 saplings. Today you go and see there is no Parthenium. Groundwater table which was 150 feet today is 10 to 15 feet. And temperature is 2 degrees lower. So whatever I said, microclimate moderation, carbon sequestration, everything. You see that biodiversity has increased. I have the slender lorries in the campus. It was in Malleshwaram. It has moved to the campus. And, they have wonderful friends. This fellow starts calling at 7 o'clock and stops at 9 o'clock. When he stops at 9 o'clock, my student says, sir, your friend has stopped. You can pack up from here. So I don't need the wall clock or this one. Otherwise, people will look at what is the time. Every 5 minutes they will be checking. What for us? Okay. Now,
sir,
see, one second. I'll complete in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we have an appointment with the collector at 11 o'clock. It's 10
That's
to
right.
11.
Before you said no, I said 2 minutes. I'm going to.
Okay.
I knew that you are going to do that. Okay. Whatever we have learned, we communicate to the younger generation. See, our environmental education program. I said no. We have conducted 598 sessions known as Know Your Ecosystem or Johnny Biospheres. On our own, we have gone to schools and conducted a session and moved forward. And we also offer a course for a working professionals, on environmental education, environment management. I have conducted 23 sessions every year between September to December for the last 23 years. That's how we have done capacity building at school levels and college levels. You can see we travel to the rural area. People might go to resort in a rural area and spend, but we go to school and spend time with the school children. That's how we have been working for the 22 or 23 years. Okay, and we conduct an event popularly known as Lake Symposium. About 1,000 to 1,200 people take part. Out of that, 30 to 35% are the school and college students. They do a simple experiment like carbon sequestration, water quality, like what we did in this catchment. The children collect the sample, come to the lab, do the analysis. When they take part in this event, the capacity building happens, knowledge. When I give a talk, they get the message for the 2.5 years, 2.5 decades, my science. And when they do the experiment and do the presentation, when we give the award, they get excited. They take part in so many have got into the science because of that. Okay? And when I came here, sir was talking about Ramsar site. Because of our 2.5 decades science, Aganashri in Karnataka got the Ramsar tag. Okay? Aganashri is this one. We just looked at biota and how it the benefit the society. This is the report we published in 2019. I gave it to Ramsar Secretariat and Government of India and Government of Karnataka and pursued the matter for 2 years. Last January, 30th January 2024, this was declared as a Ramsar, the wetland of international importance. We highlighted what kind of biodiversity is there, what kind of social dependence. 7,000 families get their livelihood without government spending 1 paise on that. And worth of that ecosystem services is 10 lakh rupees per hectare per year. One of the highly productive ecosystem. So that's how you can convince and get the result. And these are the 2 publications we published in the Nature last year on the Bangalore. Whatever we had done 2.5 decades we published. The other one is in the neighboring Goa. So where Paras and Tulika also took part in the analysis. Okay. So now this is this one where you get all our publications, etc. This is the email. I don't use mobile. If you want to talk to me, you write to me in the email with your phone number. I will call and talk to you. So, but you will certainly get my call. Okay, if you send the email. Okay. So, and we also popularize free and open source software. I always felt that we should not use the commercial software like RGS, AirDALS, etc. My students should do the analysis open source. They should do the same analysis at home also without depending on commercial software in the lab. So that is how, and we have been successful. We have worked on Western Ghats, Karnataka, many part of India and other countries also. And this is the website, looks like this. You see the decision support system and our publications are archived here. When you look at this website, you will see the publications that are there. Shall I go back? Yeah. Okay. Now you can see, if you want to know more, you can go to YouTube. My TED Talks are there. And these are the publications. See, whatever we have published, entire document I have put it online. I am the first one in the country to digitize and put it online. The ministry was very happy with my initiative. So, and agenda of my science is to sow the seeds of knowledge in this young brain. And when they are empowered with knowledge, they become sensible. And when they become sensible, they will become a responsible citizen of the country. That's what we are looking for. And when this youngster do a good job, there is a smile on everybody's face. So that's what we are looking for through the science. Okay, thank you very much.